Okay, good day, everybody. Thank you very much for honoring an invite and welcome to today's session on problem solving skills, um, organized by the NGM Nasir Kiwa Mentorship Academy. And today we'll be discussing about the problem solving skills from from early to mid career professionals. And I am your host for this session. I am Sadiq Abdulwahab, a recent graduate of electrical electronics engineering. I'm also a social media manager, a AI automation engineer, a data analyst, and also a virtual assistant. Today with me here, I'm having Mr. Abdulwahab, Mr. Wahab Fashola Williams. He'll be taking us through today's session. Inshallah, while we're progressing, let's kindly request to let's call our friends, our colleagues to join this particular session. Without further delaying ourselves, it's an honor here to have Mr. Wahab because Mr. Wahab Fashola Williams is a cyber specialist, a cyber security specialist, and also a mentor, a dedicated mentor precisely, who is who helps in bring help professionals grow and excel in their career. Let me just take us through a brief about who Mr. Abdul Wahab Fashola Williams is. Mr. Abdulwahab Fashola Williams studied chemical engineering at University of Ilorin, where he served as a youth empowerment leader and, and was the recipient of the NNPC Chevron National JV Scholarship. Later, he earned an MSc in Advanced Chemical Engineering from the University of Manchester. He began his career in the oil and gas industry, gaining hands-on experience through roles in business development, engineering operations, and technical internships at leading organizations, including NNPC, Wholly Person, Delta Africa, and First Exploration and Petroleum Development Company. Today, Mr. Abdulwahab Fashola Williams is a cybersecurity specialist with expertise in threat modeling, risk assessment, and incident management. He is passionate about mentoring aspiring and early career professionals, helping them build resilience and shaping their problem-solving skills for better workspace impact. This session is all about why problem solving matters and you can and how you can shaping it out to stand out in your workplace. Welcome, sir, Mr. Abdul Wahab.
Uh, Thank you very much for the introduction, and I'm glad to be here.
Okay, okay. So why are we here, fellow colleagues, prospective professionals? Let me just put it that way. Why are we here? We all know where we have this popular saying that says problem no dey finish, and it's this popular quote that goes to so how do you so we all have this that yes, problem no dey finish, but how do we understand that yes, this is a problem and how do we go about solving this particular problem? So the first question is why is problem solving? Why problem solving? There's a problem, and why do we have to solve this particular problem? All right. So why solving this problem? First thing is no matter where you work, no matter where you work, what you do, or presently anything you're actually going on through in life here, there is problem who will always come on board, irrespective of the industry, the seniority, the experience. Can we also say that problem is also like a constant, like when we say change is constant, can we say problem is also constant. It's also some of the things that would need to also understand. So yes, problems is everywhere, and then how do we get one? That is the basis, that problems everywhere. The next one is how do we become problem solvers? Because we know that you already understand that yes, there's problem, and then irrespective of the industries, the level of expertise, the level of experience and exposure, but what makes you stand out in terms of when we have problems like this is that your it then that how do you tend to manage this problem, and how quick did you were you able to respond to this problem, which we have to call these persons problem solvers, because not everyone can actually respond to problem once they spot it, and not everyone will be able um, to find solutions to this. So the only thing that can make us stand out among our colleagues is how we solve this particular problem once we identify them. So because problem solvers stand out, yes, everybody knows that it is once we provide solution to a particular problem, everyone seems to you have to be you put yourself on the spotlight on that. So and also the last one it is we all know that problem solvers problem solvers are always the one who will always be on the spotlight. They will always be on stage. They will always be at the forefront, because this person, they are providing solutions to all providing solutions to what are actually deeping some persons in a particular in a particular, or put some persons, or deny some persons access to get to where they want to be. Then the other reasons why we need to be on this particular session is that problem solvers, they get notice, which I've mentioned earlier on. You can make mention of several individuals across board today. For instance, let's pick the transport system, for instance. We all understand. Let's imagine a scenario where we don't have this ride ordering of the ride, the likes of other Uber, InDrive, and Bolt and the like. Having that, they don't have it, they were not in place in the instant, in the first place, and then you need to get to your workplace as early as 7 o'clock, considering how that juggle, and also you have to move from your home to the bus stop. From the bus stop, you have to start dragging to get a bus. Then, but with now, we all have these transport system companies who offer this particular solution, and we actually prefer ease to several persons who will be joining, who will be going to their workplace, and then even moving around the state, or moving around wherever they want to go. So these persons who brought this up, they are actually they are problem solvers, and they are always on the forefront, and they are always being getting they are getting noticed, and everyone seems to understand and then go forward the solutions they have preferred to every one of us today. Okay, today what we are going to be learning includes several things, and then because we know how this could actually be, how do we go about it? How do we spot real cause of recurring issues? Several issues are currently on board amongst our environment, our immediate environment, our society, our workplaces, several places where we understand that yes, there are causes of problem, but these there are problems that some are recurring, but how do we spot the real causes of these recurring issues? Then the second one, it is several issues are on ground, and however, some issues or some problems need urgent attention. So how do we pick what is very urgent over the ones that are side attractions? Now you have identified the real source of problem, the real cause of recurring issues. you have picked the urgent ones over the distraction ones. Now you have ideas of how to provide solutions to this. So this now leads us to how to make your idea land. Yes, your ideas are always flying in on our heads. Yes, we have ideas around everybody. I can that virtually everybody has a solution. They has a solution to a particular problem, but the challenge is, does that particular solution fit in the problem you're actually picturing at that moment. And the other thing that will actually make your idea keep to make your idea land is, how do you keep the momentum alive? You have bringing the solutions, you have you are bringing the solution to a particular problem. Then how do you ensure that this particular solution you have profiled, it's one of the solutions solve the that solve the problem currently and also in the nearest future for possible recurring issues. Next one, we'll be talking about, okay, sir, Mr. Abab. So let us take this in such a way that it will not be a talking stage for myself. So we have you on board. So this first question I'll be asking you here is that, when everything feels urgent, how do you know what truly matters? Sir?
Okay, thank you very much for this question. And when you are doing problem solving, I think it is important to be able to prioritize which problems you need to solve first. And that will come from experience, one, but then how do you gain that experience? By doing things in university. A lot of us have gone to kind of university or some sort of tertiary education, and getting involved at that stage will help you build the right kind of muscles to understand, how do I solve problems. So when things are urgent, and the, when it comes to urgency in problem solving, that means we have multiple problems that have probably multiple deadlines, and they have a relative value or impact. So you have to be able to carefully assess which one comes first, and you have to spend some time, be systematic about it, and don't just be impulsive. So some people generally are impulsive in nature. It doesn't help if you are trying to solve problems, especially if there are multiple deadlines. So the framework that I typically advise people to do is, you clarify what the priorities are, right? So if there's a problem that are stacked in a particular order, you have to understand which ones are the most important. That's one. And which ones will impede your ability to complete the other tasks successfully, right? So you don't want to be in a situation where there's something that is super urgent that needs to be done today. However, there are things that that problem relies on. So if you are not able to solve the initial problem, what that the dependency, that's, I can't complete task A without completing task B. If you don't complete task B first, then that means you will not be able to complete task A. So it is being able to carefully analyze how the priorities work. And in an organizational setting, right, there will be things where the company or the department or your particular team wants to achieve. So understanding that allows you to draw that picture of, okay, what does my team want to achieve, and how do I contribute to that achievement? Another thing is looking at the value or the cost, right? And in a lot of companies, everything is about either making a profit or providing value to a customer or a business, right? So if you have multiple problems, and there will be problems that you can solve that will bring the most value to the company. So if you like the examples that you gave, which is ride hailing apps, which are very prevalent, Uber, Bolt, all these things. Uh, Being able to identify a problem that can have a massive impact will help you narrow your focus and say, okay, well, I need to start looking at that particular problem because it will have a very large impact, right? You can also use what we call a decision lens. This is more kind of advanced concepts, and which I can encourage people to read up on, which is they call it the RISE concept, which is the reach, impact, confidence, and efforts. Right. So you look at a project or a problem and try to understand what reach. That's what's the scope. How far can me solving this problem reach? Like how well will people know me that I've done this effort and I've solved this problem? It is also the same thing with impact, right? Is how many people's lives or how many people within the organization would I make their life easier, right? Or would I make their day-to-day job a bit easier? There's also the confidence, which is once you are talking about solving that problem and once people hear about the way that you are going about that problem, are people confident that you can do it? Is this something that is just so ambiguous that people uh, don't understand that, okay, this is actually possible? People need to be able to be confident in your ability to deliver and say, okay, well, this thing this person is saying, it makes sense. And I believe in their ability to deliver because they have broken it down. They've walked us through step by step exactly how they will do it, and then obviously the efforts. How much efforts will you use, right? I usually encourage people to go for quick wins, especially if you are trying to build momentum in solving problems. So the things that will take 1 hour and that you can get it out of the way, get it out of the way. Don't look at the ones that will take 7 weeks first and then overthink the situation. Look, break things down, the smallest pieces of the puzzle that you can kind of solve very easily. You can communicate across to members of your team or your organization, communicate that and get the ball rolling, get that problem out of the way so that you can kind of focus more on the bigger task. Obviously, there's also trade-offs. Try to communicate those trade-offs within the organization and kind of talking through with your leadership, which are the stakeholders, including your colleagues, and saying, okay, well, what can we do now? Or this problem that I'm solving now, how can it impact the wider team versus if I do this problem later? Having that understanding from other people, not just your own lens, allows you to then prioritize these problems more effectively. So it's not just rushing to solve a problem. It's about taking a step back, looking at all the problems that you need to solve, and understanding which ones need to be solved first. I think it comes with practice, and like I said, there are many avenues to practice that, and I'm sure a platform like NGM is one of those where you get to have things that you do, and that there will be problems that will come up, and you have to learn to organize and prioritize which ones will come first. But yeah, thank you very much for that question.
Thank you very much. Just to build to what you have just mentioned, is that to for us to get what is very urgent and what is pertaining, what is very urgent to us, we take those ones first. So I just give a scenario. One of my colleagues who was actually writing an exam recently, and then she was like, "Oh wow, this one out of 4 questions, I know the first. I know number one very sure, but let me go and attend to the tough one first." By the time she's done with the first 3 questions, when she was about going back to the one she knows best, and she knew that 100% sure she knows all those questions on that particular one. That was when the video actually mentioned that you have 10 seconds more and there was a countdown. She was so very much paid that wow, the ones I even know could not actually answer those ones. So this led us to the second question. This one we talked about. Well, it's just like you have your ideas. Let us say, okay, let's take this to start. Are your ideas just being ignored, or did you share them well? These options, where I talked about a scenario where you have your ideas, several ideas are actually being flown, are actually being flying on your head. How do you present them to to that particular problem in ground, and how do you see them. So this talked about that. Are your ideas just being ignored, or did you share them well, sir?
Okay, so this is a very good question that allows us to delve into understanding how to present your ideas or how to present your solutions. You see, in organizations, everyone is either about making their lives easier or making their customers' lives easier so that you can turn a profit, you can provide service and add value to your customers. So usually, if you don't present your ideas in a way uh, is that sells the idea to the rest of your team, your leadership, it doesn't usually fly well. Nobody wants to uh, be on board any sort of engagement that they feel like, oh, it will just bring me more work. There will be no value. So being able to communicate that idea is key in any problem solving. So once you have a problem that you want to solve, you want to create ideas about, okay, there's this problem I've been looking at. Uh, this idea, I have it, and this is exactly how it solves the problem. This is the value it will create. And you can do this by a number of things, which is by doing some sort of pilot study, which is a small experiment, right? You don't want to start taking on the full problem scope almost immediately. If you have a large problem, maybe something is affecting 200 users across the company, you want to take, okay, well, we'll take a sample of maybe 5 users, and I want to try my idea out. So how you can do that now is, once you've communicated that idea, which is you say, oh, I have this problem, I've noticed this problem in the company. um, I think we are losing too much time. Let's assume you want to automate something to make it a bit faster for everyone. People are using 10 hours, 20 hours to do something. I think I can bring it down by half, right? And it will save us more time and allow us get opportunity to spend more time on things that matter. So maybe you're spending too long on documentation, or you're spending too long on something that you think, okay, I can do that a bit faster. So what you then need to do is actually do an experiment or do a pilot study. Actually do a small study, not the entire scope, to show that your idea works, which is, okay, we are going to use this method for these 5 people and see if it actually brings about improvement for them. So once you've done that, now you have your evidence. You have where you can then go to every other person, and your job is now to sell the idea, right? So for maybe the finance office, right? They don't feel like that tool is beneficial or that automation is beneficial, but because the finance department, what they are looking at is, well, profit and loss. How does it come to us as profit and loss? So if you are talking to the finance department, you want to start talking about the financial benefits of doing that thing. Oh, it will save us X amount of money, which frees up cash flow for us to invest in other things. If you are talking to maybe a department that is doing some sort of work, you want to sell them the idea. Everybody wants to know, how does this thing you want to do make my life easier? That's what most people are interested in. Or how does it benefit the company long term? So um, once you have that body of evidence and you are presenting to all these different stakeholders, understand the stakeholders, understand what's important to each of the stakeholders, and communicate in the light of what's important to them. Obviously, back it up with evidence. You must make sure that you have clear evidence to say, okay, well, we've tried this out with 5 users. We're able to realize these gains by solving this problem. And I think if we extend it company wide, or if we extend it department wide, we will get these benefits. Also, you should think about, okay, what kind of questions or counterpoints you will get, and think very carefully about, okay, somebody might ask this question about, okay, why don't we do it this way, or why don't we stop this process overall? You have to anticipate, okay, this is what they will ask me once I've presented it, and come up with good responses to those questions that will be asked. It's also important to be confident once you are sharing your ideas, just to make sure that most people receive people who are confident with more openness, because you feel like, okay, someone who is more confident means they know what they are doing, they know what they are saying, and you can only gain confidence by actually doing the work, by doing the research, by doing your homework, by making sure all the data you are collecting, all the evidence, are actually true and correct, and that you have considered a lot of things. It also helps generally once you are doing kind of sharing ideas, that you build credibility over time. That means people should know you as somebody who will get the job done, somebody who does not always look for shortcuts, someone who likes to do an excellent job. So if someone who likes to do an excellent job comes and says, I think we can do this, solve this problem by doing something a bit better, people are more likely to be like, okay, let's listen to them, because you build that track record of, yes, I am somebody that is reliable, I'm somebody that's trustworthy, I'm somebody that puts in the work anytime I'm assigned the task. So it generally helps with landing those ideas, and those are the tips I have generally. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Abdulwahab. For those of us who are just joining us, this is uh, problem solving skills for early to mid career professionals organized by the Nursing Viewer Mentorship Academy, and do well to bring in more friends to join this particular session. So just to reiterate some of those things you mentioned, I remember typically around sometimes last year or thereabout, where a boy confidently walked on a red carpet. I don't know if that particular video actually, I know that particular video trend so much. The boy just wore normal shirt, just a boy on the street, and saw that I can work on this place now. Then he worked on this place without doing anything, without being asked to work on that particular that particular place. He worked with so much confidence in him because he has seen people doing it at that particular spot. He worked towards that. So at the end of the day, just to cut it short, is that he was given several things. I guess he was given an ambassadorial role, which he actually advertised for that particular company. And then some other things, two other benefits was actually given to him. Similar examples are several out there, where we have several colleagues, several individuals who will just come outside and pitch themselves because of the confidence. And there's this general quote that we all now say, maybe by cho cho cho, it does show working. So it is by your workings, and then these workings we are talking about has to be workings that has credibility, that is being certified, and that has record. So why showing your workings that yes, I have done this, I have done this, and why going back to check back your record, it actually be so true that yes, you have actually done this. So so why we have all this already. Yes, I have pitched my ideas to the necessary stakeholders. I have I have allowed them see to my idea. And then the next stage is the implementation stage, where we have this particular problem. How does it go? Because majority of all these things, I guess where most ideas dies, is either that particular idea dies in that particular stage or it moves on. It is where the execution stage it is, then what we call the execution stage. And then in project management, for instance, what we actually plan, I think the stages of management of a project is you plan, the planning stage, the pre-planning and execution or something. I'm not so much conversant with that particular, but I'm so much the last one I know that it is execution towards the last part. Well, after execution, we have to go on by and review that particular project. So execution of a particular project is where that particular project, where ideas live or they die. So many start strong and then they fade out. That is in the beginning of a particular in the beginning of implementing a particular idea, so many persons will be kind of very agile. Yes, this is it. How do we go about it? This idea, just like what you have mentioned now, how to automate recurring tasks of doing in a company. Yes, you're just bringing in this in. Everybody see the idea and they have key into this idea of yours. But the challenge is they have started it, you start using the automation. What if this automation you actually bring on board has issues after several testing, but issues that you never planned for, and then you are not you were not too much conversant of this. Like it's probably a recent update in tool you are using for the automation, or some other things came up, and then this still in the execution stage, and this we actually lost the question where we got here. How can somebody maintain momentum during the implementation stage so that solution does not lose the does not lose the value or does not lose stale, does not lose their stuff. So that is the question for how to go about the implementation system.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So before we go to the implementation phase, usually if you want to solve a problem, it is important that you clarify what the problem is and check for a number of things, which is understand the problem, plan how you will solve it, and like you said, um, planning is very important when you have a problem, and that allows you to gather the body of evidence that you need to show the stakeholders and kind of get them on board. So obviously, once you've started the project, and that's where I'm going to go back to planning, it is important to break your solutions into smaller chunks, right? To have very small bits that you, or I'll call them milestones that you feel like you can achieve, small pieces of work. And because if it is too large, it can feel overwhelming, and it can feel like, oh, I'm not sure how I can go about it. However, breaking it down into something smaller allows you to one, chunk it up into step by step and say, okay, I will do this, I'll do this. Two, it allows you to establish who owns what, and the responsibility matrix. That means if you are implementing a solution, it might not just be you involved, right? You might need to work with other departments, you might need inputs from them, and that allows you to then, okay, you say, okay, before we can get this to work, we need to get so and so people on board, which in the planning phase, you recognize those you need to get on board. So once you've broken that down, um, being able to track it helps a lot, which is have some sort of visual tracking is one of the very common principles within project management. People use all sorts of methods, especially within the agile framework. You hear things like Kanban board or task boards. So just have a visual way of tracking it. That allows people to have accountability of, okay, well, this is my task for the week. This is my task that I need to complete for the month, and it allows you to realize, okay, this task is done, right? And the thing about the human mind, right, is um, those small tasks, being able to complete some of them, like complete those tasks one after the other, it gives a boost of confidence and it gives you that drive to continue. Um, so the problem with solutions, so back to the question, right, which is you started something very strong, and why does it lose steam halfway? So the reason why it loses steam halfway usually is when there's not enough. You've done all these things that I've said. Let's say you've broken the task down, you've shared visual plan of, okay, this is exactly what we are going to do. You've gotten the stakeholders on board, and then you run into problems. The most important thing to do is to communicate when you run into problems, and to then bring up your problem solving hat and wear it, which is yes, there will be roadblocks, and that's where your communication and your ability to build relationships with other stakeholders will help you a lot, which is you bring everyone collectively to analyze what the problem is, to understand what the problem is, and work towards a solution. And the key to that is communicating, allowing those people who are part of the problem to know, okay, well, this is the roadblock we are facing. This is what we are doing about it. These are the people we are communicating with to know more about the problem and working towards the solution. Being able to put your head down, especially at the moments where there are roadblocks, is where the execution, if that's the key of execution, like there will be problems, and being able to persevere through those problems is how you develop your problem solving skills. Is how you say, oh yes, I'm a problem solver. And a lot of the time people learn from those previous experiences. So that means once you've planned for that solution the first time, and you've done it, even when another one, even if it's not the same solution, if it's something similar, you will remember, okay, what kind of expertise did you lean on? What kind of stakeholders did you require their support? So, for example, you might require finance to approve maybe an external consultant to come in to help identify those problems. You will then quickly know, okay, well, these are the things that we should put into consideration for next time. So, for example, oh, next time we'll have a small budget for an external consultant if things go wrong. But obviously, you might go then do the next project and see that, well, there was no need of an external consultant. You guys understood the problem. You were able to execute very easily and communicate with the relevant stakeholders. So another important thing is also recognition. So the people who actually put in their back to work when things were not working well, it is important to recognize them and reward them in some form. So even if you don't reward them, to recognize their efforts, say, well, well done. Or this person was one of the key stakeholders in helping us solve this problem when we had this bottleneck, and record some of these learnings. Is important to record some of these learning, not just for yourself, but for other people who are going to be implementing other things in future. So that even if you have a problem that you are looking to solve, and somebody has said, okay, well, I've explored this problem before, these were my observations, that record allows you, now that you are coming on to that new project, not to start doing the work all over again. It means that you understand, okay, what work has been done previously. And it's just like some of the university projects and dissertation, where you will do a literature review to see, oh, what has been done before in the literature about this particular problem, and what's the different approach that I can take. So that those are kind of the things that come to mind in terms of like keeping the momentum. If you break the tasks into smaller bits of work that can be done, completing those things will give you that momentum boost and help you churn through whatever process it is. And once you start seeing what the end goal is, most of the time you will be motivated to say, okay, well, I've done 4 out of 6. We can, even though there's a problem on stage step 5, we can work with every other person, and we can get it done, and we'll hopefully reach our goal, inshallah. Yeah. So that's how I think about it.
Okay, thank you very much. Jazakumullah khairan. And I think this particular question or your response, I can actually take it to be in the situation where we have to going down the line on some of our national challenge, where we have one person voting more than one, and then multiple voters, and then even where we have ghost voters. They are not accredited and they are voting and the likes like that. So I think that was where we have introduction of BVAS, that is biometric voting system. And so from that destination, the electoral commission started with very slow, very low population, where we'll call a random sampling from statistics. It's something we call population sampling, and this particular sampling techniques they talked about taking about a small percentage of population, some small percentage of the total population, just to test run or just to give a verdict about what the whole population we actually see. Also from there, it was started from the local government, from the local government election. No, I do so from the state election, then it proceed on to geopolitical elections. That is, I think some elections were held in several states, and which was deployed. From there becomes the national thing that we all use. However, we are not going to that if they are actually still um issues around the voting system still one of those ways we actually say that we can still leverage more on it, we can propose solutions to it. So on this, let's take this as one of towards a question again, that what are your top three tips, or what are the top tips for mastering problem solving at work? What are the things you mentioned that you can give as advice to those that are coming on board, that once you have on to once you hold on to these tips, you should be able to master problem solving skills just like you have mentioned.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So, I'll say when it comes to problem solving at work, the first tip I always give people is, especially if you are new to that organization or you even been in the organization for a while, the first thing to do is to understand the problem very well, right? So, most people understand problems at a surface level, and they are not able to do systematic thinking about, okay, how does it all connect? Why is this happening? So spending time to understand that problem before jumping to solution, because people will be like, oh, I've seen a problem. Oh, this is the solution. Take some time. It, it's better to understand the solution, and how do you understand the solution is one, understand it from multiple people's perspective, not just your own perspective, right? So you might have an understanding of, oh, I think this isn't the problem, but other people don't think it's a problem, right? And you need to understand, why do they think, or that it's not a problem? Is it because, okay, well, we've been working like that for years, it doesn't impact anything, I don't see any improvements that it can bring, or it will be too expensive for us to change it. It will bring about cost. It will incur us a massive cost to do that. So there will be a lot of reasons why some problems people will be like, we should not look at that now. So being able to recognize what the problem is, talk to your leadership, talk to your colleagues, talk to the people who use some of the things that you want to fix day to day, understand the process, right? Um, Ask questions about, okay, why is this thing this way, right? The fact that it looks like a problem to you does not mean it is necessarily a problem. So being able to ask questions, and then restate the understanding that you have in simple terms. So you check my understanding. Let's assume you've asked your manager or you asked the director about something that is being done in a particular way. Understanding and say, okay, well, is it because we are doing this and this way? If your understanding is correct, at least you have a good understanding of what the problem is. So obviously, if you've done the homework of spending time understanding the problem, the other top tip is breaking it down into smaller parts. If you just consider a problem as a big lump sum, it will not help you solve that problem. So breaking it into smaller manageable parts allows you to then know who are the people I need to work with, especially in an organizational setting, because you will not be doing a lot of these things solo. You will not be doing it on your own. So um, you need to break it down. And breaking it down will come from experience. Once you've done it the first time, you will know, you will start gaining, okay, that one did not work quite well. I can and try a different way of breaking it down, and it will improve how you plan. So uh, break break it down. That's the top tip as well. And the third one is collaborate and communicate. Right. So whatever you are doing, you cannot do it on your own. And what you have to realize is, people, you need the support of people, and so by communicating clearly, you get them on board, and by collaborating with them, which is you share with whatever knowledge you are gaining from that problem solving process, or you share, okay, this is how whatever my work is, this is how it will help you. It gets them on board, and I'll say what you usually find is that uh, that process then leads to a problem solving iteration, which is, well, we'll do it, we'll solve the problem for this time. We don't have to get it perfect. We'll have a go at it again, to improve on whatever initial solution that we've gotten, and we continuously improve until we have an optimal solution. So it's just like the problem solving iterations in engineering mathematics, for example. So those are my top three tips. Obviously, and before you, like I said, before you communicate and collaborate, you must have done a small study, something, some evidence that you can show to people that gets them on board, that allows them to ask questions, that allows them to poke holes in whatever solution, because it's those challenges that people are poking holes in is what makes you think and be like, okay, well, I need to consider, there were things I did not consider in my solution. I need to consider those things. And yeah, those I would say those are my top three tips. Also, just more generally, it's important to be up and doing. Just be optimistic, not be because sometimes it's easy to be overwhelmed when you are trying to become a problem solver. So if you break things down, it becomes a bit easier to be up and doing and say, okay, well, even though I've not figured out the big picture, yeah, these smaller chunks, I know how to solve this one. I'll solve it and I'll move on to the next one.
Wow, thank you very much for that. We really appreciate you. So we have come to the end of this particular session. We'll call our audience to kindly drop whoever has questions to kindly drop your questions on the chat box or use the link showing on your screen now to drop in your question so we can have more persons who could who would have several. I know several many persons of us, many of us rather, would have several questions we want to ask our facilitator today. So let us just drop these questions in the chat box so that in the chat box so that we can also have everyone can gain from your question. So, while we are waiting for questions being sent in that this, myself, I have some questions being prepared, and so these questions goes just okay. He said, when you are unsure to stay your current role or pivot to another field, what question should you ask yourself to make that decision with clarity?
Can you come again, please?
Okay, in a situation whereby you have you want to move from one particular role to another. I'm currently working on somewhere now and I want to pivot to another field. For instance, now I am an engineer, for instance, electrical engineer precisely,
Mhm.
and I want to pivot into management. Possibly I want to go into accounting and other managerial roles. So the how do I the question is, what question should I ask myself to make sure that that decision I am making, to make that decision that yes, this decision I'm making is a better one for me.
Okay, thank you very much. That's a very good question. And so, usually, once if you want to change fields or maybe change career direction, it's important to ask yourself if you have the skills required to thrive in the new field. And a lot of roles and careers, there will be transferable skills that you have. Some of those transferable skills is like problem solving, like we said, communication skills, presentation skills, your stakeholder management. How do you deal with other people? How do you communicate your ideas? So you must evaluate, you must ask yourself, um, what your strengths are and how that strengths will translate into that new field that you are looking at. So if you are looking to pivot and you've not developed certain skills that that are necessary to succeed in that other field, I'll say it will be good to start making active effort to develop those skills now, even while you are planning to pivot. It's also important to ask yourself what's your long-term consideration for pivoting. So a lot of people will want to pivot because, well, say if there's a particular field which has just more opportunity, right? I want to go into technology because, well, there's lots of opportunity in technology, for example. That's a reason where you'd be like, okay, long term, I want to move into that industry. So ask yourself why you are doing it. Is it just uh, for immediate maybe financial benefits, or is it for long-term opportunity landscape, or there are particular skills that you want to gain, or are there particular um, I don't know, are there particular moves that you want to make that experience is core to being able to deliver in that vision of career that you have for yourself. So also you need to understand the steps that you must take to get there. And what you can do is you talk to people who are already in that field that you want to pivot into, understand their journeys. How did they get to where they wanted to get to, and what are the things that made their journeys easier. So it's important to understand those. Those are my initial thoughts on that question. Your mute.
Thank you very much, sir, for that response to that question. However, we judge our viewers to use the link on the chat box, the link showing on your screen now, to send in your question, or you drop your question on the chat box. So a viewer also asked this question. It says that how can someone stay committed to a project roadmap while still being flexible enough to adapt when unexpected changes come up?
Okay, so that's a very good question. Generally, I would say once you are having a project roadmap, a project roadmap is a document or a statement that says, okay, well, this is the project I want to do, this is the timeline I want to deliver it in, and well, this is how much it will cost for us to deliver it. It is important to get some form of agreement from the leadership, just so that you get that support. And flexibility is a big thing when you want to deliver a project. And what flexibility means is pretty much communicating with the people who matter. And so, if, for example, unexpected changes come up, you should initially have added that into your plan. So when you are planning, you should give some additional buffer. So if, for example, in your plan, everything will take 6 weeks, you should not just go and present that project roadmap to the leadership and say it takes 6 weeks. Give yourself a say 2 week buffer window, which is just some additional time, usually 10% more time. That we say, okay, in case something goes wrong, in case someone is ill, in case maybe a part did not come, you must factor that into when you are planning. And so that giving that wiggle room, right, allows you not to be too fixed. However, aside that wiggle room is making sure you are communicating as soon as any unexpected changes come up. So, for example, you've planned something out 10 weeks, and that includes a 3 week buffer window. And even when something comes up, as soon as something comes up, you inform the leadership and all the stakeholders that you are working with and say, okay, well, something has come up from my initial estimation of this situation that has come up. I think it will take additional 2 weeks. We hope that it will still we can still deliver that project within the 10-week window that we have initially considered. However, there might be extreme circumstances where we might need more time. So communicating that at the first instance helps with flexibility. And what usually happens is if maybe it's an important thing, the leadership of that organization will try and provide extra resourcing. Okay, do you need more help? Do we Are we going to tell some people to kind of prioritize the project that you are delivering to make it work within that time frame? So the key thing, just to answer this question again, is planning. You have to plan for these circumstances coming up while you are doing your overall plan for the delivery. And then as soon as you are delivering and anything comes up within any of those milestones, you communicate it immediately to the relevant stakeholder.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Abdulwahab. And then one more last question is that from one of our viewers just dropped this in now. And it goes though, it said, if I have just joined a company and I notice problems, plural, I want to help solve. How do I communicate with the team and take initiative without coming across without coming across as doing eye service?
Okay, that's a very good question. So the thing about, I'll say the iService comment is people start looking at you as doing eye service when you are not delivering on your primary tasks at work. So obviously, if you want to be seen as not doing eye service, is you have to be on top of your actual duties at work, which is you are staying on top of you are hitting all the goals and objectives that you are doing. Once you've done that, and then you've seen all these problems, you pick one first. Don't go for If you are new at a company, don't try and start listing problems. Nobody will gain confidence from you in listing problems. Pick one, understand that problem, create that understanding. Talk to your colleagues first, people at your level, people maybe a bit more senior. Talk to your manager about it, and then draft up a plan, which is back to what I said: understand the problem, break it down into small chunks, communicate it with the relevant people, which are your colleagues here, and your managers, your directors, and then drop a plan to fix that problem, that one problem, at a small scale. Get that evidence pack that you need to say, okay, well, I've looked at this problem. Um, I think I can solve it, and then communicate it with these people. Most of the time, you will get the support and say, okay, well, go and solve it. Once you solve that problem, everyone will now know that, well, uh, you are a good problem solver, or you are taking initiative, recognizing problem and doing something about it, and then it will give you confidence to then go on to the next one. Don't start with, oh, these are all the problems you guys have, I'll solve everything. No, nobody will believe you. You need to stay on top of your work tasks, make sure that you are on top of it, which is you are doing them to a satisfactory, even I'll say go beyond satisfactory at an excellent level, and then pick that one problem that you think, okay, I can deliver within a short time frame, and it will let people become confident in my abilities.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Abdulwahab, and so much. I learned so much from this session. I am so much sure that our viewers also have also learned several things in this particular session. So we'll be having the conference marketing team come on board now. We're having Nothing Giver Mentorship Conference 4.0 on board by October 4th. So I'll give the chance to one of the team members to go on board, to come on board to discuss this with us.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, I want to use this opportunity to invite you to the NGM conference scheduled for October 4th, 2025 at Ikeja. And this is an opportunity where you're able to connect with people that are already doing what you aspire to do. You can get directions on your next steps and also discover numerous opportunities. It's what an every conference should be able to offer to you here. But one of the special things that's going to come up with this session is that you have access to pre-event workshops starting from 7 a.m. that day. We're able to learn actual strategies when it comes to job applications, and every other aspect of your life that you would want to work on. And then there are also free medical screenings, free dental checks, and even prior to the events coming up, the SME competition is going on now, and this is an opportunity for you to learn how to scale your business, how to sell your ideas. You learn how to pitch your ideas to a team, and how to make your ideas sell from this session. So you should also come around to witness it live. You can either participate or also come around to witness how it's been done and get practical knowledge on how to sell your ideas. I hope to see you there. To learn more about the conference, you can see it on the flyer, and then you can go to this link on the flyer where you have bituco.com slash NGM conference 4.0. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. You can also go or you can check out our social media handles, NGM platform, not so do mentorship platform across our social medias on X, on Instagram, and other social medias. You can check out on our website, ngmconference.com, to get more insight about it. So we want facilitating to see to come and meet a keynote speaker, the person of Mr. Kola Adesina. I guess last week he was still on a work visit with the president of our country. So someone very big like that is coming to our conference. I'm sure you don't want to miss that particular session. Okay, all right. Thank you everyone for joining this particular session. It's our pleasure to have everybody on board, most especially our speaker, our guest on this particular session, Mr. Abdulwahab Fashola Williams. It's a powerful session here with you, having with you here. So just to wrap it up, and everyone who has just joined this, and then these major things I have actually jotted down from my end, and I wish I would like to share with which each and every one of what it is. Major things why solving and why profiling, why leveraging on our problem solving skills. It is firstly it is understand the problem, understand the deep down of the cause of that particular problem in which you have identified. Then that is one. And two, it is why you have identified this particular problem. You have worked, you've gotten a solution on how to go, how to solve this particular problem. What you do, the next thing is for you to break down these problems into milestones that you can use to measure yourself. So while breaking these solutions into milestones, you have to create visual tracking systems for yourself, ensure that all these breaks that you have actually created for yourself in ensuring that you achieve your preferred solution to the problem at hand is being achieved. So while doing this, you don't have to do all this in isolation. You don't have to do it in isolation because the problem itself is not affecting only you. So many persons also are all concerned about this particular problem, but it is just you who is just too quite smart to identify this particular problem that affects everyone. So your smartness, you have to use that to collaborate with respective stakeholders. While collaborating, effective communication is also very, very much necessary. There's a difference between I am coming or I am going there and I am going to Lagos. Two different statements. I am going there. There could be like just 10 minutes walk, 2 minutes walk, or just 2 feet away from where you're coming from. I am going there and I am going to Lagos. So it is two different things. Let us effective communication it's so much, very much effective. I just want to bring this scenario, this chat between an entry level employee and the with his line manager, someone dealing with around database, and he was about to type, or the communication was that I am about to I don't know how to do, I could not remember, but the challenge what he said, he wants to type he wants to touch something about the database, and then what he sent was that I want to delete the database. So the boss had to just tell him immediately that on that chat, you know what, just take a break. Imagine having to delete the database of about 10 or 20 years record, just because though the communications was not very much he sent a wrong communication. Yes, he communicated wrongly. Before he could realize what he has sent, the boss already giving him a compulsory break for him to go. And so this is what all of this is just saying, that we need to be effective when communicate properly, when communicating rather. And then there's this mode, or there's this adage or popular saying about communication. Say that when two communication is established when both sender and receiver can encode and decode what is being transmitted. I am the sender, I have decoded something, I am sending it to somebody. My receiver must be able to decode what I have encoded. So with this, effective communication has been established. So the last one, which I have mentioned, I have listed here, it is being optimistic. You will not be an entry level person, or you got to a company not less than 3 months, which you are still on probation period, and you have identified about series of problems in that particular company, and you think that within your lifetime in that particular company, you want to solve everything at once. No, you just have to, okay, let us identify this actually talked about the second question we had earlier on, about how to choose the main germane problems over those ones that are being caused by distraction. So these are my own takeaways from this particular session. I am sure that several persons or several attendees and then our viewers at home have actually got one or two things from this particular session. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. It's our pleasure to have you here again, Mr. Abdulwahab, and also our viewers. It's our pleasure to have you on board here this gorgeous afternoon. And I hope to see each and every one of us at the conference happening October 4th, 2025 at the Podium Event Center in Keja. Kindly check out on our social media handles to get your ticket for just a token. Thank you very much, Mr. Abdulwahab. Thank you very much. And don't forget that solving problem is how you stand out in your respective field. So just continue working and don't just work. Please just continue working hard. Stay solving smart. See you next time. Bye. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Bye bye.